Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a board certified hypnotherapist, and I'm also a student of integrative healing arts. And one of the classes in the course is for life coaching. So I've been sharing on this channel, besides mostly being guided meditations or guided visualizations, I've been also sharing a little bit about what I've been learning in my course. And I had shared the life coaching um, technique or model that asks questions around the Four Agreements book. And that has been such a popular technique that I've been using with practice clients. So I'm taking practice coaching clients all through December and probably into January as well. So if you're interested in being a volunteer, I can, take all that I can get and we'll schedule you out for that. So thank you very much. All my information is on the channel, links to be able to contact me for that. So this is a different one though. So this is going to be around your story, about reframing your story. So we all have stories in our lives, right? We all have something that we know, at least one, right? Sometimes we have multiple stories that are sort of, what happened to you, or what is your story? What is that thing that keeps nagging you in the back of your mind when you try to work on self-improvement or try to work on any type of healing for yourself? What is that story that happened, or a situation, or something in your life that keeps you small or that keeps you from growth? Um, those nagging little automatic negative thoughts, we call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. What are those triggers? That's almost like triggers when you remember this story, or when you're trying to move on in your life, this comes up. So stories have the potential to be either an obstacle or an opportunity. And the difference is what you do with your story. So when we coach around our stories, it helps to transform us so that we can move into a place of clarity and decisiveness about our future, right? To move forward with it. So let's start with, and I'd like you to have pen and paper with you. And of course, you can pause this. And during this, I'm going to be asking some questions that I would as if somebody was in front of me. And so you might want to pause as you go along and write down your answers and write down whatever comes up for you. Just write it down. So I'd like you to think of a a disempowering story in your life that keeps repeating itself or continues to nag at you, or, is a trigger for you, and that has had possibly a negative effect on your life. So, when that comes up for you, or when you're trying to grow, you think, from that story, you're thinking, yeah, but, or, who do you think you are? Or remember when this happened, so and so, or that made me feel like blah, 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 whatever, right? So think about what comes up for you when I ask you, what's your story? What's a disempowering story in your life that is possibly triggering for you still? And this can go back to childhood. This can go back to just last year. What is their story? What comes up for you? So just give that a thought for a minute. Try to write down a couple things. And then what I really want you to write down, don't write down your story. We're not writing a book here. And we don't need to repeat everything so that you feel it all over again. What I want you to do is just the facts. So, how old was I? What year was this maybe? What season was this maybe? Was it around a holiday? Were there people involved? Is this a story with you and your, a family member, a loved one? a friend, maybe somebody you didn't know, maybe someone at the store, something happened, something that just keeps repeating itself in your back of your mind. Where was the place? I just mentioned the store. Was the place in your childhood home? Was it at your school? Does this story even have a place? Is it something, or have a time? Was it something that played out, maybe from the time I was 5 to the time I was 10? Or maybe your first marriage, you know? What's the just sort of what's the facts without all the details of the story? So just write those things out. And when you're writing, if you notice you're writing the details, stop and just write down the facts. And of course, as I mentioned, pause this anytime that you need to. And then write out, how did that make you feel at that time? How did you feel about it? How did it make you feel as it was happening or during that time? And what automatic thoughts comes up from it? What kind of nagging yeah buts come up from that? What kind of ants, automatic negative thoughts, come up from that? And then, are those thoughts about you or about the situation or about your life, those automatic things that come up for you, is that really the truth? Or is that just what this story made you believe? Or those people made you believe? Is it true? Was it true then, and maybe now it's not true anymore, but it still is sticking with you? I want you to think about those things. And then, what's the lesson in it all? So I am definitely somebody that believes that there are lessons in our stories. There's something to learn from everything that we go through. And so there's, you can think of it as like a blessing, like a blessing within the lesson. So the whole terrible thing, if it was traumatic event, and a lot of our stories are, a lot of these stories that stick with us and trigger us are traumatic events. But is there a silver lining, or is there a lesson in the story? Is there a blessing in disguise from this story? So I wonder if you could reframe your automatic thinking around the story, if you could give it a positive reframe to find the lesson or the purpose. What would that be? To find a new perspective. So when it comes up in your life, however it comes up, whatever triggers you around it, whether it's a certain person or a certain memory or anything that you do in your life or anybody that you talk to, place that you go to, anything that brings it up, or whenever you try to do something in your life, you're moving forward, you're working on yourself, whether it's healing or whether it's self-improvement, do these automatic negative thoughts sort of come up in your mind? And how can you reframe that so it's not so negative right away, so you can see the new perspective? And I wonder if you could see this whole time here and all of this that we've just talked about, if you could see this as a catalyst or like a springboard to move you forward, to reframe and understand the lesson. So I wonder if you could do that, and how do you think you might do that? Is there any action that you can take, or any exercises or anything that you can do that you can think of right now that would help you to use this as a catalyst? Reframe your story and try to see that blessing in the lesson. So on your paper, where you wrote out just the facts of your story without the details, one thing that helps, I know we've all heard of like writing a letter to somebody and then burning it or tearing it up, and throwing it away. Or, we've all heard of those kinds of things. But if you just had your story and then you just put a line through it, put an X through it, right? Or if you wrote it on a whiteboard and just erase those facts, and then write out what your reframe is. Was there any takeaway lesson from that story? Think about that for a while. And this might also be a great journaling prompt if you're somebody that journals. So when you put an X through it or cross out the lines of the facts of your story, then I want you to write underneath that, or if you erased it, write in its place the lesson. What's that reframe? What's that new perspective? What have you learned from that story? Put that in its place. And that can be powerful. The action that we take, writing things out, crossing things out, those active kinds of things can be really powerful. So how do you think that reframing or finding this deeper or this new perspective, how do you think this might be able to change your life? Do you feel like you can bring the lesson or this positive reframe, into your mind the next time those ants try to talk to you? The automatic negative thoughts come in. Do you think that there's something that you can do that will flip that switch, that catalyst and springboard to this new frame, this new perspective? So I want you to write that down. What you think you can do, if you think this will help you in your life. And now I have the sun shining on me which is good because it's the first day of December and the sun is shining right now, and it wasn't, so that's good. So see, rather than it being a negative, it's good we've got the sun shining today. So I hope that you've gained something positive from this today. I hope that this has helped you. And again, if you would like to be, or if you're willing to be, a practice client for me, whether it's with this specific model or technique, or another one, or whatever we're doing at the moment when you contact me, if you're open to just being the volunteer with whatever we're working on, let me know. And if you enjoyed this and you've watched it all the way through, I hope that you'll click like and subscribe and check my playlist, because I've got a few different types of things going on here, and it is somewhat of a newer channel. So I hope that you'll check out some other things if you've listened to this all the way through and you enjoyed it. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. And again, I really hope that you have gained something from this. Thanks. Bye.